What does a wait and see mean to your child? What does it mean to you? First of all, it's got to stop. Anybody who's telling you to wait and see doesn't understand infant development, and they don't understand trauma. And I'm saying this lovingly. I get it that you might be with top-notch neurologists, but there are too many people who think that the brain is responsible for what the body does. And so not knowing what the brain does, because again, guys, we still don't even know where seizures come from. Not understanding what the brain does, and then not understanding and how it relates to the body, because the body's movement, your baby's movements creates the organization, what goes on in the brain. Yes, your child could have brain damage and those kind of things, or genetics. These kind of things come into play, and those feed into what the body might be capable of doing. However, you can't wait for that wait and see. If you wait for that wait and see, and there's moms right here, even watching right now, that know both sides of the coin, and I am one of them. I was a wait and see mom. Where did that get me? Yeah, y'all can say that my son goes to ASU, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I don't have my kid back, right? I lost him that day. I lost him forever. I have a wonderful man here, and he's doing great, but you know, I did such a disservice to him because I didn't do what I could then. You know, I get it. I'm Michelle Turner now. I wasn't back then. Sorry, let me turn off my computer from dinging. You know, and I have regrets, just like all of us do. You know, the first thing I have to say is we're only wiser after the fact. Don't beat yourself up for a decision you made 5 minutes ago, but please don't beat yourself up for a decision you made 5 years ago. The wait and see, the catch up, all of those things need to stop. First of all, it doesn't take a rocket scientist, you know, and I'm not saying that with malintent. It is the easiest thing to do the newborn movement assessment. It really is. So if you've got a PVL system going on, or you have genetics, or you just don't know, this is your telltale sign. If your child is in the high risk category, you need to start today. Now, whether you do movement lesson or not, I don't care. You need to do something. But this wait and see, to me, it was like a train wreck happening in slow motion. You know, you could see what the end results were going to be, but I couldn't do anything about it. And then, guys, right here, your early infant development, you know, and warning signs, birth to 3 months. If you've had birth trauma, NICU, the healthiest baby ever, it doesn't matter. Like, these just should be your Bibles. I get diapers and I get these 2 programs, right? And I start charting my baby's progress. I'm telling you right now, yes, they have no idea. I will concur with them based on the amount of brain damage you have, how it will affect your child. Their methods. But if you're working with what I'm trying to offer you, right, then you're going to have a plan. You're going to know where your child's at. You want to lessen the severity of the trauma, right? And the trauma is still genetics as well. You want to lessen the severity, but at the same time, you want to start increasing the opportunity for development. This is how it's like the yin and the yang, right? This is how they're working together. So I have trauma, but I have movement, right? But if that movement is going into where the trauma is, I'm not going to go into development, right? So that's what you have to look at. Where am I at? I couldn't do anything about my son's sickness. I couldn't do anything about his infections, right? But where am I going, right? And what do I need to work on for my child, right? And yes, it does take sometimes an individual program. And again, my child needed severe vision work. He went to Foundation for Blind for preschool, or your child might not. And that's fine too. Or your child might need functional vision. Like someone just made a comment that Dr. Nuzzo said you don't need hips for walking. And I'm like, well, you kind of need them for vision, right? And people are going to go like, what? But again, just to have this, if I don't have functional movement to go into my vision, my visual fields will shut down like that. The eyes are the only part of the body where they shut down. I can tape this pinky down for the next 30 years and come back and still, you know, work with the pinky. But we, you know, your eye starts going out, and that's where I'm very serious about vision work. They will lose their abilities. The brain will shut down the bad eye, or the bad eyes. And that's what I don't want to happen, as an example. But if you're being told out of your power, a wait and see, and you're not giving a solution, but in the meantime, you want to do this, you're working with the wrong people. You really are. And that's what you need to work on. For some, that's a lot of information, and I get it. Let me tell you guys, to work on your little munchkin now versus, again, that wait and see. Like I have the difference of where I'm here, I'm looking at a mother that I have a 1-year-old, but I'm just working now with a 2-year-old. One of the things I've got to really work on with this 2-year-old, but I was already working with the 1-year-old, is that back step. Everybody's looking at when a child's special needs locomotion. Nobody's thinking about the back counter. And this is where they get, in a sense, get knocked over. And I've said this before. If they can't get in and out of standing, they're not going to be walking. Those falls get worse as you get bigger, right? We know, right? And we can't have that when they're young and they can go down and they can roll around like a ball. I need to do a video. I don't know if I can still drop and roll and get up again, but I need to do a video on falling. Diane wants it, but and I'd forgotten. But please, guys, again, this course is free. This course, the whole video course, this book's on Amazon, the Newborn Movement Assessment. I don't care if you're 65, you can start today on this one. Again, I've said it before, the worst mistake I called it was the Newborn Movement Assessment instead of the movement assessment or your child's movement assessment. But that being said, the 3 to 6 months is done, but we got to get it up on Amazon. But this is birth to 3 months to start looking at your child's development and chart it out and look at it, and I've got the birth deviations coming out and all of that kind of thing that you're looking at, but you have to know what kind of child you have. Do you have a high tone child and you have a PVL, you better rock and roll. And if the word CP is being mentioned, there's a risk of, or it might develop in, you act like it's happening, Put all your efforts into it when there's a risk. I still remember when they came in, early intervention came in with Graham, and they're like, I just think he's a really laid back baby, but I'm going to call somebody else in. What baby is laid back? How are you even saying this? My kid's lying there like, you know what I mean? And that's not laid back, and then when the woman came in for the second meeting, and again, these things get delayed. And she just walked in and said, oh God, we're in trouble. I was like, that was the first. But again, that person wasn't in a position to tell me. I didn't know. I didn't know to run. I didn't know. And so, again, am I being a little bit of, I wouldn't say hypochondriac. I'm not. I think I'm the most logical person out there telling you what to do. But at the same time, too, am I overreactive or am I proactive? You betcha. I want your kid to go to Mount Everest. I don't want these conversations to happen when you're 20. I want them to decide that they can't do things. And I know I can't get that for every child. I get it. I get it. Life's not fair that way. But I'm telling you right now, I've worked with very severe children. I've worked with children that you think are going to be severe and they don't end up being severe. I've worked with everything. And let me tell you, progress is progress. Regression's regression. If the system is regressing, that's what it's going to do. It's mathematical. It's going to go to regress at the same force as progression. I want progression. And sometimes progression is this much, and then all of a sudden, you know what I mean? But it's progression. But regression, you can't get regression mathematically, visually, anything into a progression. And that's what you need to start changing. Again, going back to that yin and yang. Don't let the trauma dictate, because the trauma will win. Right? We have to not overcome it. Can the system initiate? Right? That's where the newborn movement assessment comes in. Are you in a position to initiate? And then you go into stimulating and enhancing. But also, too, if you don't know your milestones across the board, and this is vision, physical, mental, social, eating, swallowing, it all comes into play. Thanks. Good morning, Casey.